Okay, so like imagine, right, you're in a foreign country.
Uh-huh.
And you get, like, sentenced to death for something maybe you didn't even do, or like something that wouldn't even be like a death penalty thing back home.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's happening.
It's a scary thought.
Yeah, and that's like the reality for a lot of people facing execution this year in Saudi Arabia. And we're going to like dive into all that today.
Definitely. So there are probably a few things happening.
The reality for a lot of people, a lot of today.
Definitely.
It's a global trend we're seeing.
It is, and it is a disturbing one.
Yeah, and we're going to like dive into all that today. It's a global trend we're seeing.
It is, and it is a disturbing one.
Yeah.
We've got this recent AFP report, right?
Okay.
And data from Amnesty International.
Okay.
And they're all kind of saying the same things
about
capital punishment in 2024.
So Saudi Arabia, they've executed like over 100 foreign nationals already this year.
Over 100, yeah.
Which is a crazy number.
It's a huge number.
So what's going on?
I mean, Saudi Arabia has, always been a country that uses the death penalty a lot.
Right.
But this year is different. It's unprecedented.
Yeah, like
they've actually gone beyond the number of executions that they've had in like the past 30 years.
Wow.
So there are probably a few things happening.
Okay.
One could be like a tougher stance on crime in general.
Okay.
Like what they see as serious crimes, drug offenses, things like that.
Got it.
Political dissent. Another could be like a stronger foreign policy.
Okay.
Maybe they're trying to show like,
strength.
Yeah, strength, exactly. And that might be why we're seeing so many foreign nationals being, subject to this.
It's hard to imagine being from like Pakistan or Yemen, Syria, Nigeria, and then like being executed.
So far from home.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
It is. It's really sad.
And this is where these human rights groups come in, like Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International. They're saying, look, these people, a lot of them, they don't even get a fair trial. Right.
They don't have good lawyers.
Yeah.
Language barriers make it like almost impossible to defend yourself properly.
Yeah.
It's like they're not getting due process, It's scary. It is.
So you mentioned drug offenses, and the AFP report was saying that's like a big reason.
Huge,
for these executions, especially
with foreign nationals.
Right. So is this like a global thing?
Yeah, sadly it is.
Really?
Drug offenses are like a big reason for the death penalty.
Huh.
In a lot of places, especially in the Middle East.
Right.
Parts of Asia, too.
Wow. So is that right, though?
Well, it's a huge ethical debate.
Yeah.
Right? Some people say, look, the death penalty is way too harsh.
Yeah, for drugs?
Yeah, for just drugs, especially when you think about it.
Yeah.
We're trying to look at addiction as like a health issue, not a crime.
Right.
But then you have the other side that says, these drugs are destroying our communities.
Right.
So it's a tough one.
Sure.
So where does Saudi Arabia like fit in globally?
So Amnesty International, they say these are the countries with the most executions in 2023. Okay.
Right.
China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, and
the U.S.
The U.S., yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's the only Western country that still has it.
That's crazy.
But it's actually been going down in the U.S.
Okay.
The number of executions because, people are realizing the problems with the system, like wrongful convictions and racial bias, things like that.
So is there any good news?
Actually, yeah, there is some good news.
Okay.
More and more countries are getting rid of the death penalty.
Really?
Yeah, in 1991,
it
was only 48 countries that had abolished it, either by law or just in practice.
Gotcha.
But by 2023, that number more than doubled.
Wow.
112 countries?
That's amazing.
Plus, you've got 9 more that haven't executed anyone in like 10 years.
Gotcha.
So that's good news.
So we've got this rise in executions, especially in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Like we talked about. Often it's foreign nationals, and then the crackdown on drugs and political dissent.
Right.
But then at the same time, more countries are abolishing it. It's complicated.
Very complicated. It's like, brings up all these questions.
About justice and human rights.
Yeah. And like what each country can do.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It really makes you think, what if you were on trial in another country and you didn't understand their laws?
Right.
Would you get a fair trial?
That's a good question.
Could you even work through the system?
Yeah.
If you don't even speak the language?
It's pretty scary to think about.
It's a scary thought.
For sure.
And it makes you realize how vulnerable people are.
Absolutely.
When they get caught up in this.
Definitely.
All these different laws.
Different cultures.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Well, that's our deep dive for today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. It was great talking to you.
Likewise.
See ya.
See ya.